Today's flight is a special one. We're populating Louisiana's Felton Penitentiary. These guys are the worst of the worst.
See a lot of celebrities among us. I see 11 primetime lives, 3 Regents and Kathy Lees, and a genuine...
Few action films from the 1990s capture the unapologetic bombast of the era quite like Con Air, a high-octane spectacle released in 1997 and directed by Simon West. Emerging at a time when Hollywood action cinema favored muscular heroes, outsized villains, and set pieces that defied gravity as much as logic, the film quickly cemented its place as a cult favorite. At its center is Nicolas Cage as Cameron Poe, a recently paroled Army Ranger whose only goal is to return home to his wife and finally meet the daughter he has never seen outside of photographs. What should be a straightforward journey becomes a chaotic descent into airborne anarchy when Poe boards a prison transport plane filled with some of the most dangerous criminals in the country. The film's premise is simple, but its execution is grand, loud, and relentlessly kinetic. Cameron Poe is introduced not as a reckless daredevil, but as a decorated soldier whose life derails after a tragic altercation. A bar fight escalates, a man dies, and Poe, despite acting in defense of himself and his pregnant wife, finds himself sentenced to prison. This backstory grounds the film emotionally. Poe is not a criminal in the traditional sense. He is a man who made a fatal mistake under volatile circumstances. His time in prison is defined by quiet resilience and longing, letters to his wife, dreams of holding his daughter, and a commitment to staying out of trouble shape him into a protagonist the audience can invest in. Nicolas Cage plays Poe with an earnest intensity that borders on melodrama but fits the film's heightened tone. His southern drawl, long hair, and stoic gaze become iconic elements of the character. The turning point arrives when Poe is granted parole and assigned transport aboard the C-123 aircraft known as the Jailbird, colloquially dubbed Con Air. This flight is no ordinary transfer. It is a maximum security operation carrying a roster of infamous criminals, each more volatile than the last. Among them is Diamond Dog, portrayed by Ving Rhames, a commanding presence whose ideological fervor and physical dominance make him instantly formidable. There is also Baby O, played by McKelty Williamson, a diabetic inmate whose vulnerability humanizes him amid the chaos. And then there is Cyrus the Virus Grissom, brought to chilling life by John Malkovich. Cyrus is not merely dangerous, he is calculating, articulate, and eerily composed. His intellect distinguishes him from the other inmates, positioning him as the mastermind behind what soon unfolds. The ensemble cast is one of the film's greatest strengths. John Malkovich's performance as Cyrus is laced with cold precision. He speaks with deliberate calm, even when orchestrating carnage, giving the character a theatrical menace that elevates the narrative. Steve Buscemi appears as Garland Green, a serial killer whose unsettling demeanor and cryptic observations add an unpredictable layer to the story. Buscemi plays Green with an almost detached amusement, making him both disturbing and oddly fascinating. John Cusack rounds out the central trio as U.S. Marshal Vince Larkin, an officer who believes Poe may be the key to preventing total catastrophe once the inmates seize control of the plane. The hijacking unfolds mid-flight with ruthless efficiency. Hidden weapons are revealed, guards are overpowered, and Cyrus asserts dominance with chilling authority. The sky becomes a battleground, the plane a confined arena where alliances are forged and shattered in seconds. Poe, caught between his desperate need to get home and his moral compass, makes a choice that defines the rest of the film. He will not allow innocent lives to be lost if he can prevent it. Secretly communicating with Larkin on the ground, Poe positions himself as an unlikely double agent, outwardly compliant with the hijackers while quietly undermining their operation. Simon West directs the chaos with a flair for spectacle. The camera rarely rests. Explosions bloom in fiery plumes, gunfire echoes in tight corridors, and the claustrophobic interior of the aircraft amplifies every confrontation. The film leans fully into excess, embracing slow-motion shots, swelling music, and dramatic one-liners that became hallmarks of 1990s action cinema. Yet amid the bombast, there is a clear narrative through-line: Poe's singular mission to survive and reunite with his family. The relationship between Poe and Larkin provides structural tension. Larkin is an unconventional lawman, more analytical than aggressive. While other officials advocate for drastic measures, including shooting down the plane, Larkin argues that Poe is not like the others and may be instrumental in saving the hostages. John Cusack plays Larkin with understated resolve, offering a counterbalance to the film's louder personalities. His skepticism toward bureaucratic overreach adds a subtle critique of authority within the spectacle. As the hijackers redirect the plane toward a planned escape, the story expands beyond the confines of the aircraft. Fuel shortages, emergency landings, and escalating body counts push the narrative into increasingly perilous territory. Each stop along the way becomes an opportunity for confrontation. The tension is not merely physical, but strategic. Cyrus is always several steps ahead, anticipating interference and adapting with ruthless pragmatism. His intellectual sparring with Larkin, though conducted from afar, underscores the battle of wits at the heart of the film. Nicolas Cage anchors the emotional core. Poe's quiet exchanges with Baby O, his protective instincts toward flight attendants, and his refusal to abandon basic decency distinguish him from the surrounding violence. Cage infuses Poe with a sincerity that prevents the film from collapsing into pure cynicism. Even when delivering stylized lines, he maintains an undercurrent of genuine longing. The image of Poe clutching a stuffed bunny for his daughter becomes symbolic of the film's central contrast, tenderness amid brutality. The supporting cast deepens the texture of the ensemble. Ving Rhames' Diamond Dog exudes revolutionary rhetoric and physical intimidation, embodying raw power. Steve Buscemi's Garland drifts through the narrative like a specter, his cryptic commentary and eerie calm suggesting a mind that operates on an entirely different frequency. Mykelti Williamson's Baby O offers moments of vulnerability, particularly as his medical condition becomes a ticking clock within the broader crisis. These characters are exaggerated, almost mythic in their criminal reputations, yet they each contribute to the escalating tension. Production-wise, Con Air reflects the blockbuster ambitions of its era. The practical effects, large-scale explosions, and climactic destruction sequences are staged with maximalist intent. The film culminates in a spectacular crash landing and urban pursuit that transforms the action from aerial confinement to ground-level chaos. Las Vegas becomes a playground of destruction, with wreckage tearing through streets in a sequence that epitomizes 1990s action extravagance. The sheer scale of the finale underscores the film's commitment to spectacle. Despite its operatic violence, Con Air operates on clear moral binaries. Poe represents honor and redemption. Cyrus embodies intellect twisted toward domination. Larkin stands for institutional restraint tempered by intuition. The film's thematic simplicity is part of its appeal. It does not seek moral ambiguity. Instead, it revels in archetypes. The righteous warrior, the cunning villain, the beleaguered official, all are drawn in bold strokes. Over the years, the film has garnered a reputation that extends beyond its initial theatrical run. It is frequently cited as a quintessential 1990s action film, emblematic of a period when studios invested heavily in star-driven, effects-laden spectacles. Nicolas Cage's performance, in particular, has become iconic within his filmography. His portrayal of Poe is often referenced alongside his other action roles from the decade, reinforcing his status at the time as a bankable action lead. The film's memorable lines and exaggerated scenarios have also fueled its longevity in popular culture, quoted and revisited with a mixture of admiration and affectionate irony. John Malkovich's Cyrus remains one of the more distinctive villains of the era. Unlike purely physical antagonists, Cyrus wields intelligence as his primary weapon. He is articulate, composed, and frighteningly methodical. Malkovich avoids caricature by grounding the character in chilling conviction. The result is a villain who feels both theatrical and plausible within the film's heightened universe. Simon West's direction emphasizes momentum. Scenes transition rapidly, rarely allowing the audience to settle. The pacing mirrors the urgency of Poe's mission. Musical cues swell dramatically, reinforcing emotional beats and amplifying action sequences. The aesthetic choices, slow-motion struts, backlit silhouettes, explosive climaxes, are unabashedly stylized. Rather than aiming for realism, the film embraces its identity as a larger-than-life thrill ride. In retrospect, Con Air stands as a snapshot of its cinematic moment. It predates the dominance of superhero franchises and occupies a space when standalone action films, anchored by charismatic stars, dominated summer box offices. The ensemble casting, practical stunt work, and grand-scale destruction reflect an era less reliant on digital spectacle and more committed to tangible set pieces. That tactile quality lends the film a certain enduring charm. At its heart, the narrative remains surprisingly straightforward. A man wants to go home. Obstacles arise in the most explosive manner possible. He perseveres through courage, cunning, and sheer determination. That simplicity allows the audience to navigate the chaos with emotional clarity. No matter how outrageous the circumstances become, the through line of Poe's devotion to his family provides stability. The closing moments return to intimacy after prolonged mayhem. Poe finally reunites with his wife and daughter, completing the emotional arc established at the beginning. The violence subsides, replaced with relief and fulfillment. It is a conventional resolution, yet it resonates because the journey has been so relentless. The contrast between thunderous action and quiet reunion reinforces the film's central duality. Nearly 3 decades after its release, Con Air continues to occupy a distinctive place in action cinema discourse. It is remembered for its excess, its quotable dialogue, and its ensemble of vividly drawn characters. It is studied as an example of late 20th century blockbuster filmmaking, and revisited by fans who appreciate its unapologetic embrace of spectacle. Whether viewed as a quintessential action classic or as a time capsule of 1990s Hollywood bravado, the film endures because it commits fully to its premise. Ultimately, Con Air thrives on conviction. It believes in its hero's righteousness, its villain's menace, and its own right to explode across the screen with operatic intensity. Nicolas Cage's Cameron Poe remains the emotional anchor, a warrior turned reluctant guardian whose singular goal transforms a prison transport into a battleground of redemption. Simon West's direction ensures that the journey never stalls, propelling the narrative from airborne hijacking to ground-level inferno with relentless drive. The result is a film that may defy plausibility, but never lacks momentum, a high-flying saga of loyalty, chaos, and the enduring pull of home.